Tarps Off Sports.
Bang, we are back with another Tarps Off UK MMA podcast. This is episode 5. We had UFC 263 just last night. Crazy card from start to finish. Unbelievable. The prelims were great. The main card was great. Everything was great. How are you feeling, Frank?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I mean, the sleep deprivation, it is worth it to watch. When you've got cards like that, it's just worth it. The UFC have really upped their level of high quality cards, pay-per-view cards this year. So yeah, and last night was no different.
Yeah, and 2 title fights on top of the card, but it seemed like the people's main event was a 5-rounder, but it wasn't a title fight. It was between Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz. Leon Edwards comes away with the decision victory, but Nate definitely made a statement on the night with that 5th and final round. He flash KO'd Leon, it looked like, and then he pointed at him instead of going in for the attack. I think if he looks for the finish there, he may have gotten it, but we'll never know. And Leon Edwards comes away with the decision victory. However, I feel like Nate Diaz's stock even goes up in a loss.
Yeah. Oh, it was a great fight. A little bit of sort of inter-house rivalry with obviously yourself and Jake back in Nate because of the whole Jake Shields, and then myself being a UK guy with Leon. But yeah, it was a great fight. Sort of the first 4 rounds were what I expected. Somewhat, I did not expect Nate to showboat as much as he did. To be honest, I know he tends to a bit, but he was proper going full on Nick Diaz versus Anderson Silva levels.
And he kept turning around and showing his butt.
That was bizarre. But that's when, honestly, Joe Rogan was saying on the commentary, and he's right. That was when he was landing his best shots. He was doing this weird, leaning over, and then he was throw over a 3-piece combination and land. And the rest of the time, his shots weren't getting off. So it's a weird one, but it worked.
And even when he tagged him in the 5th round, it was a right hand slap followed up by a left hand that caught him. I mean, it's unorthodox. It's fun. It's why the fans love the Diaz brothers. That was a thrilling fight. What's next for Leon is probably pretty obvious here. It's going to be the winner of Usman Covington for the title. What's next for Nate? Now, that's a lot tougher question. We have to see what happens with Poirier McGregor. Does he run it back with Masvidal again? I mean, the possibilities are endless. Well, essentially, he can get any fight he wants except for a title shot.
Yeah, see, thing is, though, not with Nate, but this is with Leon. I've literally just watched Dana White's post-fight conference, and he said Usman and Covington are fighting, and he implied that Leon versus Masvidal might be the next fight to make. They've got the 3-piece and soda history. So that would be a bit of a discredit to Leon, I think, if they do end up making that fight and not giving him the winner out of Colby versus Usman. But then again, it depends how active he wants to stay, how much time he has out. But if he doesn't get a title shot after this, it's a travesty. It's a travesty.
Well, this is no disrespect to Masvidal. It's more of showing the top of that weight class. But I think if I'm Leon's coach, I'm saying just go and take that big payday from Masvidal. I don't think that's a super dangerous fight for Leon. I think he would win that pretty easily, and then he can get his title shot and get another bag on the way to doing it. So I wouldn't hate that fight for Leon at all. If I'm on Masvidal's camp, I don't want to see that fight. I don't really like his odds there.
Yeah, but it's, to be honest though, who else would he fight? I don't, you've got Wonderboy versus Gilbert Burns. That's 2 of the top 5. Obviously, Colby's going to be fighting Usman next. And Leon's going to be, if you beat Leon, you know what, Masvidal will probably get. I mean, if it'd have to play out right, but if Masvidal beat Leon and if Colby beat Usman, you've probably got another title shot for Game Bread. So
exactly,
it could be.
And Wonderboy gets screwed again. I mean, you got to give Wonderboy and Leon their shot here eventually.
Oh man,
you can't make him wait forever.
I know. Yeah, Wonderboy's getting on now. He's still so good, but he's not a young fighter anymore.
But he's at that top level where he deserves his title shot. Now he's still elite.
Yeah.
So let's not let him get
Yeah.
past his prime here. He's still in his prime. Let's let him go.
Yeah, shit. That's because they're fighting on the McGregor pay-per-view, aren't they? Which is only in like 4 weeks' time.
Yeah.
What do you do with the winner out of that when you've also got Leon and Colby? Like, it's all.
Well, it got all messed up when Masvidal got that shot he didn't deserve versus Usman in the rematch. That screwed up everything. That should have never happened. We all knew what was going to happen going into it. There was really no suspense for that one. But what are you going to do now? Now you got to try to fix the problem, and the only way to fix the problem is have everybody fight everybody. But what is the order of these fights? I think you got to give Leon his title shot next. I think he needs to fight the winner of Colby versus Usman, and then Wonder Boy's got to fight the winner of that, and then we see what the landscape looks like.
Well, the winner out of Wonder Boy versus Burns.
Well, if Burns wins, I don't think he gets in there. But if Wonder Boy pulls off that win, then yes.
Yeah.
If Gilbert Burns were to defeat Wonder Boy, it really clears things up. But
the question is, though, how does Leon fare against Usman? Could he be? Is he good enough to be England's or Britain's second champion behind Michael Bisping? I know actually he represents Jamaica, but he essentially is one of us.
That is a very tough fight to pick, actually. I give the edge to Usman, but I definitely would like to sit back and take more time to really think about that one. But off the top of my head, I give the advantage to Usman, but I reserve the right to change my mind.
Yeah. I mean, I will be completely biased when I go into that, but just looking at the skill sets alone, Usman's just such a physical specimen, isn't he? And now training with Trevor Whitman, he couldn't be in better hands. And I don't know, one thing that I've seen Leon saying in recent interviews is that he thinks Usman falling in love with his hands, boxing knocked out Masvidal, could well be his downfalling. Because, Leon's a good striker. He showed that last night. But I don't know. I just the fact that Usman knocked out Masvidal. He knocked out, the striker in that sort of division, apart from Wonderboy. I just want to see the fight.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a one-off, though, because there was that bad blood. Because, honestly, Masvidal saying that it was just because he got, a short camp when he got absolutely 50-45 torched. I think that definitely angered Usman a little bit, and he came in there mad. I think there will be a lot more respect between Usman and Leon. And I could see Usman going back to the ground game. But speaking of a ground game finish that I didn't expect to see, Brandon Moreno is your new flyweight champion, first Mexican champion in UFC history, I believe.
Yep.
In a spectacular fashion. I thought if Moreno was going to win by a finish, it was going to be a KO or TKO. I just thought Figgy's submission defense was too good, but apparently Moreno's got one hell of a complete game here. He can strike, he can grapple, he can do it all. He's good on the mic. He's going to be a star in Mexico now.
Yeah, I honestly wish all the best for him. The story that he's been through, being the last pick on the Ultimate Fighter, getting cut from the UFC when it's time for him, working his way up in the regionals, getting signed back to the UFC, and now working his way all the way up to a UFC title. He's got the belt now. It's incredible. Got to say though, as incredible as his performance was, and as incredible a fighter he is, Figgy was off. Don't you think? He did not look like himself. I don't know. What do you think?
Seemed like, remember when Jose Aldo fought Conor McGregor and he just didn't seem himself all week because he was so mad? I wonder if we saw a little bit of that Figgy. He was so mad that Moreno was saying that he was healthy in the last fight when they drawed. And I think Figgy went in there really mad, looking to take his head off, and Moreno fought a smart fight. That was a crazy war. I mean, there were so many wars on this entire card. And then we saw a 5-round fight in the main event there between Adesanya and Vettori. I didn't have that one as a very close fight. Vettori's still going to say he thought he won. I don't think he'll ever admit defeat when it comes to a judge's decision. What did you think of that? What did you think of him saying he thought he won that fight after?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just the sort of guy that Vittori is, and I suppose you need that sort of mentality to be, that mentality to an extent to be successful in this game. To just stay competitive at the top of the division. But he lost. He lost every round. Like, honestly, Adesanya. I used to be like a huge Adesanya fan when he was rising through the UFC, and then went off him a little bit. And that sort of culminated with the Blachowicz fight and his sort of stuff that came out about him around that time. It was all just a bit, and he was sort of implying that in interviews that he was going to submit Blachowicz, and I was like, "Fuck off! Just stop being such a," But this fight, he really sort of, he's come back down to his natural weight class. Honestly, he is the king of middleweight, and he's come back down, and honestly, his game plan was just so spot on. Using the leg kicks to like really take out Vittori's base, and then he started using like two techniques in particular: the question mark kick going low and then flicking high, and then also like corkscrew uppercuts, like going low and throwing the shot upwards. And they were just breaking through Vittori's defense every time. And then also the takedown defense and get ups as well. Matt, he's good at middleweight. I love Till, but I don't know if anyone can beat him.
I don't think so. And honestly, he was looking for that head kick all night. He must have envisioned a head kick knockout Adesanya, because he just kept going to it. I've never seen somebody attempt the head kicks that many times. But Vettori, he's like a Bond villain. Like, he'll be back in the mix. Like, he's going to be a tough guy for the rest of the division to knock off. Although I don't think anybody beats Adesanya right now. And there were people saying like, oh, Jan gave the middleweights the blueprint on how to beat Adesanya. I thought that was kind of foolish. I think Adesanya lost that fight because he weighed less than his opponent, and he just wasn't big enough to take him on. I don't think it had anything to do with skills. I don't think there was a blueprint to be had. And you saw that because Vettori tried basically what Jan did to Adesanya, and it did not work at middleweight, and it will not work at middleweight.
There was some level of skill to Jan's win, but it was more like
absolutely
the tactile use of his own natural weight advantage over Adesanya, which people just don't have at middleweight. Vettori,
and I'm not saying Jan is not a skilled fighter. I think he is right now. If John Jones stays away, he's the king of light heavyweight.
Oh, no, we won't get back into this. I was about to say Yuri Prochazka, but that's one for another day. But they're both. I don't think Izzy should go back up there anytime soon. Oh, unless it's to fight Yuri Prochazka. Imagine that.
Well, that could be fun.
That would be amazing. But never mind.
I think there's enough fights to make though in that middleweight division for Izzy right now. I would like to see him fight Whitaker again. I know that's who Izzy called out. He wants that done fast. I would love to see that fight again. I mean, the first fight was pretty good, and the bad blood between those guys is great. The press conferences leading up to it, the trash talk. Izzy's just always calling him an idiot. And Robert Whitaker, where he looks like the villain in every single like fighting movie. It's just awesome. But then he's like the nicest guy in the world, so it doesn't really fit. But
he's real good though.
Yes.
If he has a different strategy, he probably is Izzy's biggest test. Even though Izzy KO'd him, I'd say Whitaker is his biggest problem in that division right now.
Oh, I've always thought that, and it's always kind of built itself like that. That is the rivalry in that division. So of course I'm with Izzy. I want to see that get run back pretty soon. And then you thought you had the fight of the night on this UFC 263 card of the year so far. And boy, was that a good one. Drew Dober versus Brad Riddle. I believe it was Dober caught Riddle in the first round and had him rocked. But Riddle comes back and catches him in the third round and has him knocked, and he comes out with the decision victory. Did you like it was a majority decision. I know there was a draw on there. Someone gave Riddle a 10-8 in there as well. The cards were kind of all over the place from the judges. What did you think of how that fight was scored?
Yeah, to be honest, they've all kind of got a shout because, like, I think we're unanimous. Well, I mean, I did see some people on Twitter giving Riddell the first round as well, despite getting knocked. You know, he did come back and landed a high strike count. But I did give Dober round 1. I gave Riddell round 2, though again that was kind of close. There was a lot of back and forth exchanges, so I could kind of see how that could be sort of go either way. And round 3, I thought Riddell was like absolutely incredible. Like honestly, those guys from City Kickboxing, something else. Like it
Did
really
you have a
is
10-8 in there?
I could give round 3 as a 10-8. I could.
Okay.
Wait, or were you saying Dober got a 10-8?
No, Riddle.
No. Yeah. Riddell. Yeah, I could give round 3. I wouldn't, but like I could kind of see because he was landing at will in round 3.
Yeah, I believe one judge gave him a 10-8 on there, and that was I didn't have a 10-8. I had it 2 rounds to Riddle. I don't know how someone had it a draw. I mean, I guess you could. A little tough. It was back and forth, but I had the first round to Dober and the next 2 to Riddell.
It was just such a good fight. The striking was so slick, and both of them were so durable. Like, there was just so much like sort of common sense when they were hit. You know, like Riddell getting hit in the first round, almost dropped. He sort of falls to like all fours, I guess, and managed to drive for a takedown and press him up against the fence. And it's showing that, because him and Adesanya are training partners. It's showing that these kickboxing guys with huge kickboxing pedigrees, they're becoming mixed martial artists now. They're not just amazing strikers. They can do it all. And Riddell in the later rounds even started using like offensive wrestling. So yeah, real deal.
Yeah, it seems like they all put on very exciting fights over there. There's no boring fighters in that pen. And then we did have a boring fight on the card, though, if you want to say. It was one that we both had some investment in Eric Anders versus Stewart there. What did you think of that fight?
Holy shit. It was fucking awful. It really was. Like, especially like compared to the first one. It was the first one was, obviously Anders disqualified or whatever, so no contest due to the knee, but like it was explosive from the get-go, the first one, and this one was just stale and boring, and there was just nothing to it. I don't know if it was anything to do with the weight change because they both moved up to light heavyweight.
Yeah, they both moved up.
I don't know.
I was
but
pumped going in for that fight because obviously I went to Alabama. Eric Anders played football at Alabama, so I got that connection there. So I was team Eric Anders.
That's cool.
And I mean, he got the win, which I was happy about, but like I don't know if it did much for Eric Anders' stock. I think it probably stayed right where it was.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, for both men, to be honest. Like I'm well, I used to be a Darren Stewart fan, and he made his way up in the Cage Warrior scene, didn't he? And they're both good fighters, but neither of them showed it. Like it was just devoid of life or anything.
Yeah. I highly suggest they both move back down in weight. I don't think 205. They both looked a little bit slower at 205.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think move down would be beneficial for both of them. And then we had another great fight with Lauren Murphy versus Joanne Calderwood. I think we have Murphy probably is going to be next in line for that title shot at Shevchenko.
Yeah. I honestly, the thing is, obviously, I'm supporting Calderwood because she's got Scottish. Tarps Off MMA UK. But like, it kind of didn't make too much of a difference to me who won that fight because obviously the winner's going to fight Valentina, and neither of them stand a chance. I don't think. Like Calderwood, she's great. I love her fights. She's got that sort of Muay Thai style with the teep kicks and elbows and stuff. Also, actually, I scored it to Calderwood. I don't know about you.
I scored it to Murphy. I saw that you scored that to Calderwood. I actually scored it to Murphy.
It was tight.
I gave Murphy the first and second round, I believe.
Or
was it the second? Yeah, I know the second round.
Yeah, I gave her first and third. I thought, first and third, but it was close. I don't know.
Calderwood won the third for sure, and Murphy won the second. So the first was the debatable round.
Close. Yeah, I find Calderwood a really fun fighter to watch, actually. Like that sort of Muay Thai style. She doesn't really get knockouts or anything like that, but it's like her last fight against Jessica Eye, when there was actually like beef between the two people. You could tell every time she threw an elbow, it's with like bad intent. It's quite cool. But yeah, Murphy against Valentina now. How do you see that going?
Well, see, I said before this fight, I was like, if Murphy wins, I think she would have a really good shot at Shevchenko. But that was before the fight. Now I watched the Murphy Calderwood fight, and I don't really stand by what I said before. I think that's going to be a very, very, very tough fight for Lauren Murphy. Her nickname is Lucky Murphy, and she's going to need a lot of luck in that one.
How did you see her? But obviously your opinion's changed a bit now. But how did you see her winning? Like, what was the sort of route in your opinion?
I thought she could, maybe stay on the feet and maybe catch that strike. But as we saw, Calderwood was able to strike with her, was able to grapple with her, and Shevchenko's just a whole nother animal.
Yeah, she is.
It's more because Shevchenko's so good than it is a fault of Calderwood or Murphy.
Yeah.
I think they're both extremely good fighters. I think Shevchenko is just that generational fighter that's so difficult to beat, and there's just nobody in the world at her weight class that can beat her there right now.
Yeah, same as Nunes at hers. It's just a massive skill deficit, and everyone else hasn't caught up with her. Even her sister. Her sister's like trash compared to her, which I find.
And she's a very good fighter.
Yeah. But like Valentina is just better than everyone.
Is it her sister in the top? She's at least in the top 10.
She lost to
she did lose recently.
Lee. Yeah, so she might have dropped into the top 15. But yeah, she's ranked at least. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it's crazy how good, honestly, Valentina Shevchenko and Amanda Nunes are. They're both just absolutely spectacular.
And hey, maybe that sort of line, that Israel Adesanya, he might fall into that category soon. If he beats Whitaker, he might start becoming that next level above everyone else. That everyone, Anderson Silva-esque, where everyone's just trying to chase him.
Yeah, we'll see if Izzy can get through Whitaker. He's going to have to do that one more time before I'm ready to give him that. But hey, if he does it, then you have to start considering it. And another guy is Usman. If he gets through Colby here, do you start considering him that as well? And I know that some people have talked with the GSP. I think Usman's going to need to keep it up with some big names if he wants to get on that GSP level. Because if you look at the names that GSP beat, they're a lot bigger than Usman. And it's like, you've seen Usman. I don't want to say he's ducking people, but I think he kind of ducked Colby to get an easier fight with Masvidal. I think he ducked a lot of people. I think Masvidal was probably the easiest guy he was offered, and that's the fight he took. And then you see him still trying to get away from Colby, even after that win, calling out guys that are way further down the rankings. I don't know. I just don't see him being that GSP caliber. I don't think he has the right mindset, and I'm not sure if he's as skilled.
For Usman to fall into that category, for me, he's got to be Edwards. I'm not so fussed about a second Colby fight because he's beaten once and pretty definitively. But I mean, it will happen. But that's not like a key thing for me. For me, it's got to be Edwards, and he's got to be Wonderboy, and possibly even someone Luque as well to properly, so he's cleared out that top end of the division.
Yeah, he's got to actually clear him out.
Yeah. Instead of just saying, "Oh, I've cleared them all out." Well, no, you haven't. There's still people in that top 5 that you haven't beaten and could give you legitimate problems. Wonderboy could be such a fun fight. Imagine, if Usman goes for the the boxing heavy approach. Imagine Wonderboy's that footwork and movement around. No one's fought anyone like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson until they fight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Well, even taking him down is hard because if you shoot in, his footwork is so good. Do you really want to get caught with a knee or a kick? It's I mean, there's so many different weapons, and he uses them. He uses his weapons so much differently than any other fighter. So Wonderboy's really tough to train for, and he's a tough guy to fight.
Yeah, he is. Welterweight's a fun division right now. It's a really fun one.
Welterweight and lightweight are booming right now.
Yeah, you know what? Just and bantamweight as well. At featherweight, the UFC is just it's it's in a good run right now.
It
Maybe
is in
like
a great run.
the higher divisions are a little bit lacking in like depth, but like right now, yeah, we're in a good spot.
Well, light heavyweight is lacking. Heavyweight, they have fights they can make that I know people would be very interested to see. Will they make them? I don't know. Light heavyweight is where they are lacking though.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's true.
I feel like they almost need a John Jones return to light heavyweight. But if he fights Brandon Loughnanne at heavyweight, that's huge. But it seems like the UFC is not going to let that happen. That's a fighter pay discussion, though. we'll let Jake handle those. he does a much better job than probably either of us with the fighter pay stuff. But
yeah, I'm sure.
To switch it over to PFL here, your boy, another win, another
Brendon
big
Loughnanne.
win. This one was a lot closer versus Tyler Diamond, but Brendon Loughnanne, could he win that?
Yes, he could. I said this when he beat Shayman Moraes. He could. He really could. What is he? 11 wins, 1 loss in his last 12 fights. That's ridiculous. And yeah, Tyler Diamond. Like I genuinely thought it would be like a step up in skill, because Diamond's like Moraes, he's a former UFC fighter, but he's a wrestler. When Moraes went up against Loughnanne, it was a fighting, a striking battle, and just looking, I did a breakdown on for Tarps Off Sports for that fight, and just looking at how their styles matched up, I was actually pretty confident in Loughnanne going to that fight. This one I was like, I don't know, because Diamond's got good wrestling credentials, and he's shown how high level his wrestling is time and time again. And the striker's weakness is always the wrestler. I mean, yeah, you can't not watch that fight and tell me Brendon Loughnanne is not the real deal. He's legit, and he could definitely win that featherweight tournament. I don't even know what you call it.
I guess season.
Season.
I guess the season.
Yeah.
But Bubba Jenkins, obviously, he beat Lance Palmer. Lance Palmer now, I believe, needs to win to clinch his playoff spot. Bubba Jenkins has clinched. Loughnanne is clinched. So if Lance Palmer finds his way in, or Bubba Jenkins, he fights him in the playoffs, how do you think he does versus those two guys? Are those his biggest two competition?
Yeah, I'd say Bubba Jenkins is. When he beat Lance Palmer, I was just like, whoa.
I was a little shocked. He out-wrestled Palmer.
Completely, in every round. And Lance Palmer is kind of known for being a bit of a boring wrestler who will just dominate. And he was dominated completely. So yeah, Bubba Jenkins is defo Brendon's biggest threat.
Do you think Brendon can wrestle with him? Do you think he's got that in him? Or do you think he's going to have to keep it striking and try to stay stand-up?
Yeah, I think he would try to sort of utilize something similar to Adesanya last night, in that just like defensive wrestling. I suppose that is the one thing with Loughnanne is that we haven't seen him in multiple wrestling exchanges.
And Bubba's crazy explosive.
Yeah, he is. I don't think he's fought anyone like Bubba before. But he's beaten one wrestler, and he defo could do it again. I'm not going to put money on it or anything, but he defo could do it again.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch. But I think the threat of him winning is definitely real now, and you can't deny it. And then
the UFC need to sign him.
Well, again, we have to talk about it every time we mention this kid. He was on Contender Series. He won his fight, but he shot for a takedown, and Dana had a hissy fit and didn't sign him. It's a huge mistake.
Stupid.
The kid's got a huge name. He draws people to watch your cards. He is already on the poster at PFL.
Yeah.
He was already on the fight poster. Like, the kid has a cult following fan base that are awesome, loyal fans. The UFC needed him. And imagine like putting him in Pimblett and Darren Till all on a UK England card there. Like, that would be explosive. And speaking of that, I heard we might not even get it now. I heard they're possibly shooting for September, but they're having issues. Do you think we're gonna get this card?
Not in August, I don't think. That doesn't look likely at all. Just due to
I think the goal is now September.
Yeah, September 5th. So I think what the plan is, nothing locked in. But I heard a couple of the UK journalists talking about this the other day, and yeah, because it's UFC 257, something like that. Will be on September 5th right now, but they're willing to bump that over so they can bring a UK fight card in hopefully in the
Would it be
02
267?
Yeah, the one that Blachowicz versus Golova is meant to be.
Okay.
So they can bump that over and bring Till versus Brunson, and then I'm sure they'll stick a bunch of other UK guys. Pimblett, if it is in September, Pimblett will definitely be on that, I reckon.
I would hope so. I'm still waiting for him to make his debut. I've been waiting.
Well, Jared Gordon's got an opponent now, or is it Jared Gordon, the guy that was meant to be fighting him?
Yeah, so that was rumored, so that's out now.
We'll
see.
No idea, then. Yeah,
I mean, it's got to be a featherweight.
Do you reckon? Yeah.
I don't think he'll fight in the UFC at lightweight. I think he's mentioned in interviews that he probably will do featherweight. He's open to lightweight, which I think is a mistake, Patty. Go do featherweight, please.
Yeah, there's some wrestlers in lightweight, even like the unranked ones like Mateus Gamrot, who just like throw him around, I reckon, if they got their hands on him. But yeah, he could do great things at featherweight.
I would love to see him fight at featherweight. That's one of the biggest exciting fighters I'm looking forward to seeing make their UFC debut. Probably the most excited I've been for a fighter to make their UFC debut since McGregor, to be honest.
Really? That's big. You know what?
It's just in my opinion.
On one episode, sometimes we should go through every weight division and pick out our top prospects for each one.
That would be fun. I'm a big Bryce Mitchell guy too. That's a prospect I like.
Yeah, he's real good. Because there's a lot of talent coming into the UFC right now, and Pimblett's like at the forefront of that, I would say. But he just needs to get that first fight booked.
And Bryce Mitchell needs to get booked too. I haven't seen him fighting forever. I can't even remember his last fight.
Is it Rosa? Someone like that. Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been forever.
But he's ranked, isn't he? So they wouldn't stick Pimblett up against him.
No, God, no. That would not be fair. Bryce Mitchell's undefeated, has a couple fights under his belt in the UFC. No way. Not a first opponent.
Yeah, I know he talked about Herbert Burns at one point, who's just dropped out of a fight with Billy Quarantillo. So maybe he'd be match fit by the time Pimblett comes around.
That would be a fun fight. Herbert Burns comes through our live streams every once in a while. So like that, we see him in the comments sometimes.
Really?
He's poked his head in a couple of times. So
that's real cool.
Hell yeah. But I think we're you got anything else to add?
Just that let's stick this on the itinerary. But next week, this coming weekend, we've got I think 3 UK fighters. Keep an eye on, and we'll discuss the post-fight next Sunday or whatever. But Casey O'Neill, I think she opens up the card. Scotland fighter who I think she's undefeated 6-0, coming off a really successful UFC debut. And then we've also got Davy Grant versus Marlon Vera. That is just an incredible
fighter.
It's not a great card, but there's that fight which is just like electric. And then there's also Hot Chocolate, Danny Roberts versus Tim Means, another UK fighter who's he makes exciting fights. He's not the best fighter, but against Tim Means, Tim Means is a UFC veteran who just brings out absolute brawls. So that's 3 UK guys to keep an eye out for next week.
Hell yeah. And this is on the Dan 50K Ige versus the Korean Zombie card, right?
Yeah,
that's a nice for that main event too.
That'll be a good one to break down as well.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots in that one, baby.
It will be.
But you want to let them know where they can find you, Frank?
Yeah, just find me on Twitter at Bernarda Boy, BOI, and then Instagram Frank Bernarda, Facebook Frank Bernarda. And always give Tarps Off Sports a good follow because I'm writing like weekly stuff for them, a lot of UFC previews and whatnot. So yeah.
Hell yeah, and I'm at Jack Gottsell, JackGotsell. Can find me at tarpsoffsports.com everywhere basically. And we out. We'll see you guys.